Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Career Happy Hour. We are so very glad that you are joining us tonight. Hopefully, you have had an amazing day and an amazing first half of the week. And we are about to get you ready for the second half of the week. As I mentioned in my promos for tonight's event, we are about to have an amazing show. Now, I know every time we say, how can you get a guest co host that's better than the one for that show? Well, we're about to show you. We are about to blaze up the show tonight. As you come on in, we want to give people a few minutes to get the alert that we have gone live. In the meantime, please go ahead and drop in your name, drop in where you are tuning in from, and then also what's in your cup. You have a cocktail, you have a mocktail. What do you have in your cup? All right, we see Kimiko has already joined in. Thank you, Cuzzy Cuz. Hello, hello. What are you drinking on, Cuz? We want to know. We have such an exciting show tonight. We have a lot of things to unpack, and you know how we do in Career Happy Hour. We always look at the way of being able to apply these nuggets, apply the value that we're talking about to every aspect of your life, not just your career life, but your home life, your personal life, your relationship life. So we are so excited to be able to talk with you today. Lauren, oh my goodness, friend, walking in my hood, so no cup yet. What do you mean? You don't walk with a cup in your hand? I mean, that's what they call mommy juice, right? Come on. Thank you, Lauren, for joining. And then we have Vernay up in the house. I appreciate you. And I'm going to try to join you later, Vernay, after we finish up with Career Happy Hour. I saw that. I got the alert. And then we have LaShawn up in the house, tuning in from Kansas City. In my cup is ice water. Ooh, that sounds really good. And Kimiko is sipping on some Stella Rose Black. Oh, that sounds really good. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and get started. Let me pull back the flyer here. Hello. Happy hour is here, because at happy hour we are happy because we need some happy up in our life. We are so glad that you are joining us for Career Happy Hour. I am Lashina Recrutalina, your six-figure career brand coach. I am here to help you stay recruitable, visible, and profitable by maximizing your oomph. So we are all about the up in Career Happy Hour. And we are so super excited about the guests that we have tonight. And the topic that we are talking on is about how to boss up after a breakup. And I know immediately when you hear breakup, a lot of us think about breaking up from a relationship standpoint, from a significant other or from a spouse, which those are very real things that happen, just as part of life. But there's also some breakups that happen outside of maybe a romantic relationship that we're going to talk a little bit about as well, because what happens when, you have to break up with the job, or you have to break up with the boss, or you have to break up with a friend or a relative? All of those still impact us from an emotional perspective, in our spirit, that then also shows up in other aspects of our life. So the more that we can make sure that we're bossing up and being able to get over those breakups, really the better quality of life we'll actually be able to have to show up in our home life, show up for our kids, show up for our significant other, show up for the next significant other who is down the line. So all of this plays a part. So we are going to bring in our amazing guest for tonight. I'm so excited. We are bringing in Sydney Kelliee. Oh my goodness. And look at that cup. That's a whole experience in that
It
cup.
is. It is.
Wow. That is gorgeous. What are you sipping on, lovely? What are you sipping on?
Well, I try not to always be promoting, but I'm sipping on unicorn juice. This is like it's a healthy drink, getting me together, girl. You know, we have to be together in all areas of our life when we talk about bossing up.
Yes, yes, yes. That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Sydney, I am so, we've been talking about getting you on the show for a minute, and I'm so glad that our schedules have aligned because you are one busy boss lady around here.
I am so busy, but it's what I asked for. I prayed for this. And so as everything starts to happen at one time, like I said earlier, you just have to be ready. So I am half crazy. And the people that love me, that I'm surrounded with, that love me, they know I'm crazy. And so, yeah, I have ideas that download every single day. And I try to have my hands in so many different things while I'm building the Sydney Kelliee brand.
Mm-hmm. And that's such a great point that I don't want it to get missed. When you say that you've asked for this, the power in asking for things is it's like a superpower when you ask for something. And if you sit back and notice that you are being given what you've asked for, it's like, oh, wait a minute, wait, I'm not ready for that, but you asked for it.
That's exactly what happens too. So like even in my book, when you like introduced me and talked about the book Boss Up, How to Boss Up After Breakup, that's one of the biggest things. You have to pray about it, and then you have to believe it, like with everything in you, even when you don't see it. Like sometimes, like you hear them say, when you see a person, trust me, that's been years in the making, right? And sometimes it's years in the making from being a child, from being a young girl or a young man. It's a young boy. It's the growth that you see today. And so, but if you believe in something and you pray about it and you believe it and it's within God's will for you, it's coming. And then people are like, no, that's not it. That's what happens in relationships all the time. Women pray for a good man, then they get him, and then they're like, this wonderful guy, he's treating them so sweet, and they're like, no, something's wrong, something's up, he's too nice. It's like you pray for somebody to be nice, and then when you meet a nice female friend or a nice male friend, or when you get a good job, or when you don't even realize that that's what you prayed for.
It's almost like we self-sabotage ourselves.
Totally self-sabotage all the time. It's we self-sabotage the good things. Because if somebody says, you look fat in those jeans, you never wearing the jeans again. I don't care what nobody says.
Nope.
You throwing those jeans out, you like she said, I look fat. But if somebody say, you know what, you look amazing in those jeans. I find people all the time say, really, you think so? Oh girl, these are just, take the compliment. Accept it.
Yes. Oh my gosh. That's a whole thing, because sometimes we don't even know how to accept compliments. And I know I've had to learn over the years how to accept compliments, because I would try to downplay it for whatever reason. I would downplay it. But no, own that compliment.
Own it.
It's just that you are deserving. And that's what we have to, there's so many of us that feel like we're not deserving, and we have to get into that mind space of being deserving. Oh my
right.
gosh.
Of you believing that you're deserving. You
Mm-hmm,
have to believe that you're deserving of it in
mm-hmm.
order for it to even happen for you. Because I just, believe that God is up there and he has all these different lines. And he's like, okay, this person asked for a car. This person asked for a house. This person asked for a husband. So whatever line you're in, right, you gotta be ready when you're in line. And so when you get there, God is like, okay, this person isn't ready. Move to the side. Like he's giving out blessings daily. So you gotta get in your line and stand there planted and wait for it, because when it comes, you gotta be ready.
Absolutely. LaShawn makes a great point. That self-sabotaging topic is a topic within itself.
It
And
is.
that is such a real thing.
It's the
And
whole thing.
and our number one fan, my husband Matt, is tuning in.
Amen.
And then Kimiko says that I'm learning this now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's big. I mean, and that's something that's you continue to learn different levels of it. It's almost like you unlock different levels.
As you
Like
get,
as you learn this level, you unlock what's the next level. And
yeah.
then you just keep unlocking. That's so important.
Yeah.
So, Sydney Kelliee, I know you've been tuning in, girl, supporting me this whole time. I so appreciate you. Oh, I appreciate you. And one of the signature things that we talk about, in addition to what's in your cup, is your journey over time and how you've gotten to the place that you're in. Because we talk about your career is not this point A to point B as so many people think about or think that it should. And when they don't have that direct line, they think that they're a failure and they're not being successful.
Yeah.
And that's, if you don't get anything else out of Career Happy Hour other than, some good fun, some good laughs, I want you to make sure that you get that we all are on a journey.
Yes.
It's not a destination, and you're going to have bumps and bruises, and we want to help you with those bumps and bruises and let you know that you're not alone in anything that you're going through. And Lord knows, man, Sydney Kelliee and I can tell you some things.
Yeah.
We're going to try to get to, Sydney. I promise we're going to try to get to. But we want to share a little bit about your journey, because you've been one of those corporate career professionals, as I still am, and you've had great success.
Man.
And you had to get over that breakup.
I had to. That was a big breakup, and it happened fast. It was like a one night stand type of breakup.
Wow. So tell us, like, how did you even start on that path to even get to the path that you're on now?
So I'll just go all the way back real fast, and I'll just say this, that for me, it has always been kind of like I knew what I wanted to do as a little girl. Now things have changed. There have been ebbs and flows, and I've had to learn how to work my way around those things. But basically, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew that, I was going to be this big boss. I'm a 70s baby, so Knots Landing, honey, and Dynasty, those were my shows. And so I was going to be that boss. I knew that. And so I just had to get there, right? And then my mom took mindset training when I was a little girl. And so she kind of taught me that I could just believe in the things that I wanted, which today we see that as manifesting. And so I've always kind of had that in me. But I started out in the beauty industry. I have been kind of in it for my whole life. I grew up with one of my mom's best friends who was a makeup artist on set in Chicago for the Channel 5, the newscasters. And then I had another aunt who owned a huge boutique in downtown Chicago. And so I've had a chance to be around beauty and hair and makeup like my whole life. And so when I decided that I wanted to go into the business, I knew that I wanted to be able to be on the backside of the business. business, right? Like I didn't want to be a hairstylist or a makeup artist who stood up and did hair and makeup all day. I wanted to be on the backside of it. And so I had to go to cosmetology school after I graduated from college, which was like absolutely ridiculous because I was like, I don't need this. I already have a degree. You know, I was one of those girls, but I had to learn it. And so I went to cosmetology school. After I graduated from cosmetology school, I immediately wanted to learn how to do both kinds of hair, not just black hair, but I wanted to learn how to do, you know, all kinds of hair so that I could make sure that I was really valuable in the industry, right? And that's not something that a lot of Black women do. A lot of Black people go to get cosmetology licenses and they just do hair. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I'm saying that there are more coins on the top, right? There are more coins behind the scenes. So that's where I was. And so, but I also knew that I wanted to have multiple salons all over the world. That was my dream, to have multiple salons all over the world. And so as I went to work for these companies, all it did was give me experience. But I found myself as in product development, where I got to sit and work with chemists. And so where beauty is all I know, like I skipped over the whole part about how I danced from the time I was 5 until the time I was 23 years old. I was a dancer. And so dressing up and getting cute and performing has always been my thing. And so mixing that together with beauty was like perfect. And so knowing that that's what I wanted to do, I had all of these ideas in mind, but every job I had was just experience for the next thing. And that's what I think people need to look at. Remember that everything that you're doing is experience for whatever it is you're trying to do. You got to take away those experiences. And so as product development director, I was with L'Oreal USA. A lot of people know Soft Sheen Carson. We're the Dark and Lovely company, known for Dark and Lovely, known for what else are we known for? Optimum and Wave Nouveau, all of those products. I was actually the person who repackaged all of those products when I came into the company. And the directions that you see on Wave Nouveau, on the Dark and Lovely packaging, those are all mine. So yeah, some of my products are still on the shelf, but working in the beauty industry, I got to work with a lot of women and know that what women need, what women feel. And to this day, I just love how beauty makes women feel good. Like when we feel good about ourselves, the first thing that we do is we get up and we look cute. And I tell women all the time, you don't have to look cute for other people. You're getting cute for you, right? And so teaching them how to get themselves together, how to snatch themselves together has always been a thing for me, because when you hold that mirror up and women see themselves differently, it's a confidence booster. And so in my career, I, have always had this, I was married at the beginning of my career. Then I found myself working for a cosmetics company. After I left L'Oreal, I went to work for Benefit Cosmetics, and Benefit Cosmetics is known all around the world. I was a trainer for them. I got to travel the world. I've had an amazing career, like corporate career life. And I trained all the girls that worked for Benefit Cosmetics. Well, Benefit Cosmetics is the company that moved me all over, and how I ended up in California. I was working for them. They called me into the office and they were like, we need to have a conversation with you. We need you in California. And then we said we will give you 48 hours to make a decision to either move to California, because that's where your job is moving to, or no longer have a job. So this is that part where it's like, and I skipped some other things because I didn't even tell you that I owned my own spa in Chicago. I was the first one to ever have a full body waxing and skincare spa in Chicago, and I had my own products. And so what I do is I'll work, and then I always have my own business on the side. Take a note of that. That's a nugget. Always had my own business on the side, even when I had a corporate position, because the end of the day, the goal is never to build millions for everybody else. The goal is for you to get experience from working with them and build millions for yourself. Okay. So I did have my own businesses in between working for companies. But when I worked for Benefit Cosmetics, what makes this so impactful is because I traveled all over the world, I would fly out on Monday and I would come home on Friday. I was in a different city every single week. And so my mom had to help me with my son, because by now I'm divorced from my first husband, keeping it all the way real. So my mom had to help me. So when the company called me in and said, hey, hey, you only have 48 hours to make a decision to either move with the company or no longer have a job. Because I traveled so much for them, yes, I made a lot of money. Yes, it was a lot of fun. But because I traveled so much for them, I did not have a lot of time for me and to build my businesses. So all the businesses that I had built up were starting to collapse because I was busy working for somebody else. Okay, that's another nugget. When you're busy working for somebody else, you can't do what you were called to do, right? And sometimes working for somebody else is what you're called to do. But I believe that there's a business inside of everybody, no matter what it is, no matter how big or small, there's a business to be birthed inside of you. So now I said, what am I going to do? I went to my mom. She said, you know what? There are only so many times in your life when God says, pick up and move, and maybe this is it. So we picked up and moved. Now I'm in California. I'm still traveling for the company. A year later, now, they made me sign a contract because the beauty industry is dirty, honey. They go back behind all companies' backs and recruit us, right, for more money. So I had to sign a contract that I would not leave them for at least 3 years. They came to me a year later and said, hey, we've decided to restructure the company. You no longer have a job. That's the big one right there. You no longer have a job. So now I'm in California with my mom, with my son, and I don't have a job. I don't have, that's my only family. What am I supposed to do? In that moment, I felt like a failure because I have done all of this climbing and building and climbing and building for what? For me to just end up still on the unemployment line. And I decided at that moment that I know what it takes to be an entrepreneur. I've done it a million times. I've helped other people do it. And if I can build millions of dollars for a company, then I can build millions of dollars for myself. And I made a decision in that moment that I would never, ever work for anyone else another day in my life, even if I had to have 100 jobs, 100 businesses. I would never work for anybody else. I would make it happen. And that's exactly what I've done since 2013. It has not been an easy ride, but it's been the most amazing ride that I can ever say I've experienced. It has ebbs and flows, but at the end of the day, I'm free. I'm free. I was still able to be that mom who could be there for my son and take him to school every day when he forgot his gym shoes in the middle of the day. And I had to run to the school and take him because I was free, because I controlled my own schedule. And my dream has always been to have, multiple corporations. And so today I stand here at sydneykelliee.com, Sydney Kelliee, the brand, and I promote beauty products for other companies. I, in that whole time, had a terrible relationship with a man who I thought was going to be the love of my life. It ended up not being a good relationship. And one of the things that's so important to me about talking about relationships and business and how that goes together is when you as a woman, and if your love is not right, if your heart space is not right, it is very difficult for you to become the total package that God wants you to be, right? Because our heart space is where everything flows from. And so those of you that are out there that are highly ambitious bosses, that are women that, go for it, that are at the top of your careers, that are in management, whatever you do, you know that when you're in an argument with your husband, when you're in an argument with your mom or your sister or somebody who's very important to you, sometimes it's not so easy to function. And so when I was building all of my businesses and when I became the full-time entrepreneur and I was in a relationship that was the worst relationship I had ever been in my life, I kept wondering why things weren't happening for me, why things would be so amazing, popping off, and then all of a sudden it would stop. Why was that happening? And it was because I was not in alignment with what God wanted for me. Yeah, he was answering my prayer, giving me my companies. He was giving me a little bit of the money that I thought that I had prayed for. He was giving me the house, the area where I wanted to raise my son, but he was not allowing things to flourish. And it was because I was not in the right alignment when it came to my heart space. So heart space and business to me is very important. They go hand in hand. And women need to make sure that we're completely healed and in love with ourselves and know who we are, so that we can go out there and show up the way that we're supposed to show up in every area, right, of our lives. So I kind of gave a little bit of my journey.
Look, I tried to tell the audience, I tried to get you ready. When I said that we were about to blaze this virtual stage, This is what I'm talking about right here.
Yeah.
Right here. Okay, take a breath, Sydney Kelliee. Because everybody wasn't ready for all of that you put that. Go and take a sip. Go and take a sip, girl. Don't
I
take
know. Wait, what's so funny is my best business bestie who's on here, LaShawn, shout out to LaShawn Gunnell. She always says that once I get going, you just got to flow. You just got to write because I might not be able to go back.
Okay, let's all take a sip and to, regroup. Okay.
Yes.
Because I told you, I told you this right here was a whole deal. So let's unpack some of that, just a little bit. We can't unpack all of it because we only have an hour, but but I do second episode, so we definitely need to make sure we do a second episode.
That's right.
Somebody said I might run home for a sip after that. Oh, that must that must be Lauren out there stealing, running around the neighborhood. Lashina looked like she's ready to praise the Lord. Yes, she preaching. She is preaching up in here. Hope y'all taking notes. Yes. So one of the things, and somebody said, preach. We got to preach up in here. Oh, yes. So one of the things that I know LaShawn really captured in one of her comments that I know that I did, she said, I love that everything I'm doing is experience for the next thing. Mm-hmm. And when I tell you, I've had that happen so many times because I'm a lifelong learner, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm always learning. I'm always reading. I'm learning some new software. And I may not always get it at the moment, but I'm exposing myself to it. And then what has happened is that then something comes up in my corporate job. And guess what? I already know what they're talking about. And it makes me look like I'm smart.
That's right.
And it's not that I'm really smart. It's just that I know a little bit about a lot of different things. Exactly. And then when I need to gravitate to them and build on them, at least I have a foundation. And that's what sometimes people don't realize, that, learning is an investment in yourself. And you don't always receive the dividends from an investment immediately.
Right away.
Sometimes that dividend comes months later, years later, decades later. And you've got to make sure that you're investing in yourself. But then when you went down your whole history, oh my goodness, I know we have some people in the audience scared. Like, there is no way that I could do all of that she just explained. But tell them, because this is what happens a lot of times. We see people, we hear people, we see how people move, and we think, ooh, they're so successful. They have everything going for themselves. But tell us some of the good, the bad, and the ugly that came with that.
That came with the being driven, the success part.
Being top of your game in your corporate career, having these different businesses that you're like, okay, I don't even know how I'm going to pay the light bill next month.
Absolutely. So let's talk about that, because that's the part that scares a lot of people when it comes to having your own business. And so I will say that if you're blessed to have a job, a job, or as my BB calls it, your investment, your investor, because that's
investor, yes.
If you're able to have an investor and you have a job while you're building a business, sometimes it can seem like it's a lot harder, but you have to look at the positive side of it. As an investor, you have money to take care of your home, and then also as you're building business to pour back into your business. Mm-hmm. When you are a full-time entrepreneur, and oftentimes I want to post about being a boss, because a lot of people talk about being a boss, and I'm like, you ain't a boss until you ain't eating, until you make a sale. Now that's a real boss. Everybody want to be a boss, but some bosses got jobs on the side, and some of us aren't eating if we don't make a sale, right? So there's a difference in the levels of bossing up. Mm-hmm. But it's not easy to start a business and to live and pour back into the business, because it takes money to make money, right? Yeah. And so sometimes when you're out here, it gets ugly. it got ugly for me to the point where I literally was homeless when I walked away from my relationship. I had to move in with friends, and everybody said, "You look amazing all the time." Well, yeah, I look amazing. That's all I know how to do. I was born with lipstick on. I've been in the beauty industry for my whole life. These are my clothes. This is my hair. I know how to pull it together, but that doesn't mean that inside I'm not torn up and broken up.
Yeah.
And so it really is not easy. You have to be prayed up. You have to surround yourself with people who are not just good girlfriends, but also good business friends, because there's a whole big old difference, right? And so I have this amazing girl group here where I live. They're my girlfriends, and we're very, very close, and all of us do different things, right? But then I also have this amazing business community of girlfriends, and Lashina, you're one of those that are in my girl group, and it's important for us to have each other, because if you're hanging out with people who aren't in business, who've never had a business, they've only worked for companies before, they don't know how to tell you how to move to the next level. They don't know how, when you're like, I don't know how I'm going to keep paying my monthly website fee because I have this to do and I have that to do, because when you're building a business, all of that stuff is important, right? And so your girlfriends are looking at you like, well, just whatever. And we're like, this is what you need to do. You need to pull it together. You need to grind it out for 30 more days. You need to cry. You need to wipe your tears. You need to come back on the screen, and you need to keep it moving, right? So we need those friends also who get it, because it's ugly. It can be ugly. And I saw the bottom of the barrel, but the good thing is that whatever the vision is that God has given you, you got to keep your eyes on him. As he says, keep your eyes on me. And there were many days when I was crying, and you even asked me if we could talk about this. And I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but we can. I found out in May of last year that I had breast cancer. And I was like tripped out when I found out about it, because I had just started writing my book. I had just started writing. And then I found out that I had breast cancer. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, on top of everything else. But one of the things that I remember is that God is like, don't ask why me, right? And I wanted to be like, why me? Because I'll be very transparent. One of the dreams that I have sometimes when the enemy is trying to distract me, one of the dreams that I have is something's going to happen to me before I make it to where I'm trying to make it to. Before I get big, something's going to happen to me. Right. And so that I'm keeping it like real transparent. Damn, what's in this unicorn juice? Okay, this is really all natural, but I'm keeping it real. It's a kind of a scary thing. And when the enemy comes to attack me, and you guys can think about this, he attacks you with things that he knows that you're afraid of, right? And so when he comes with that whole thing, I'm like, okay, now I have cancer. What am I going to do? And so what I did was I just moved through it as if, I don't want to say as if it wasn't me, but I moved through it as if I was like, okay, God, I know that what you showed me, I have not seen the full manifestation of. However, I see the footprints. You've been taking me there all these years. Everything is leading up to this. I know you have so much more for me. And if you do, then everything is going to be okay. And so that's kind of how I got through it. But it wasn't easy. I had to stop a lot. I cried a lot. I was mad because I missed deadlines a lot. I was like, people going to think I'm a flake. I'm not showing up enough. But I was like, God, I see the end vision, right? The end. And that's what we just have to keep moving through, is with the end. Me losing everything was scary. Like, it was the scariest thing ever. But I knew that if God took it away, it was because all of the things that he had been showing me and preparing me for were about to happen. So when you talk about getting over a breakup fast, that's how I'm able to do it. Because I'm like, if he's trying to remove this from my life, it must be something juicy that's about to happen. So
of course, that's how you think about it. It's like, ooh, something else is on the other side of this breakup. That is awesome. And I'm so grateful for your transparency, because, there's so many of us who have gone through cancer. And you know, of course, that's near and dear to my heart because of my journey and going through it. And it's interesting that you say that because about, you know, just thinking something bad might happen. And not that I think that way on a regular, but knowing that my mom was diagnosed and passed away from breast cancer at such an early age. And I was diagnosed with breast cancer at the same freaking age that she was.
Yeah.
At such a young age. And it's like, what in the world? What was this about? But you know, there's something about, you know, it's something about God putting things in your life that he's like, okay, you need to pay attention. Because in my case, I think there was a lot that I was just kind of letting happen to me instead of me being intentional about it. And like in my case, you know, I started doing mammograms early because my mom was diagnosed so early. In your case, I want this takeaway for all of our audiences, our audience viewers, regardless if you female or male. Tell us, how did that happen for you? How did that show up for you as it relates to your mammogram?
So what happened was I had never had a mammogram, and I know most people are just like think I have it all together. I'm half crazy half the time. And so I had never had one, just kind of because I just didn't, right? And so some of my friends will call me a hypochondriac. I like take herbs. I'm always at the house mixing stuff up, and so I can feel everything that happens to my body, everything. And it's always been like that. I've diagnosed myself 2 times and ended up having to have surgery. So I know like my body. And so I just kept itching, and everybody was like, girl, nothing's wrong with you. And so of course me, I Googled it up, honey, because I'm a Google physician. And so it said that that could mean the worst form of breast cancer. And so I'm like, ooh. And so I'm like, I should go, because my doctor had already given me the thing to go and get the mammogram and everything. So I was like, I should go and get a mammogram. Went to get the mammogram, and everybody was like, oh, it's no big deal. They came back and said they found calcification. And so I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, oh, we have to do a biopsy. So everybody's like, oh, they've told me that before, and it came back and it was fine. Go for the biopsy. Child, when they said, we saw something, I was like, are you serious? So I was very, very fortunate to catch it at stage 0, but really it was because of me kind of being like a hypochondriac, itching and not feeling like something was right with my body. And that's what made me go. But I just think that it's important now. I understand the importance of going and catching it early, catching things early, but even more knowing your body. We got to get in tune with our bodies, right? Because that's when we get naked and start taking off everything and like really getting to know our bodies, knowing who we are as women, the powers that we have, our other parts, the careers and the businesses and all of those things are just going to take off when we get to the core of like who we are. And health and mind is all what that is. None of us are going to have success in any of this stuff that we're praying for, wishing for, manifesting, if we don't take care of the core, which is our health and our minds. And so that mammogram, it like literally saved my life. But somebody said, itching where? My chest. I was just itching, and I just kept itching, and I had never had any itching before. And so first we thought maybe I had bed bugs. Then we like ruling out everything. And I was like, I'm just going to go get the mammogram. I am so glad that I did. And even when I did, like when I called my sister, she was like, you lying. I was like, I'm for real. Like I couldn't even believe it myself that the lady said that I had it. And so I went through it, had my radiation. I got all burned up. I have a whole little natural concoction for that to get your skin back looking good and glowing.
What?
But I went through it with grace, and I'm grateful. Like I'm so grateful to God, and I'm grateful for you and LaShawn and people in my circle, my business circle, as well as my friendship circles, who just kept me kind of up throughout the whole thing. But also having something that drove me drove me. My book, I was writing that during the time I was going through it. I was still building my businesses while I was going through it. I just never stopped to be like, oh man, this is kind of jacked up. I just kept going, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gotta have this deep down drive. And when it comes to relationships, it's very, very important for us to get our relationships in order. And the reason why I say that is because I said it earlier. When your love heart space is not right, we do not operate at full capacity as women. God just didn't make us like, he wants us to love and be loved on, right? He wants us to give love and be loved on. And most of us just give love. That's what we do, especially those of us that have that vein down the center of our head, right? You know, those of us that are highly ambitious and driven and have all these goals that we want to achieve. Like, we love so hard and we just give, give, give. But he wants us to have that same kind of love back. And when our tank is not full, when we don't have that, when we're arguing with a family member or with a husband, a loved one, we're not operating at full capacity. And so for you to show up in your career, like Lashina teaches people how to do, show up in your career and be the best that you can be. Show up as a business owner and birth your book and be the best that you can be, but get your heart space right. Figure out who you are as a woman. And if you don't know how to do all of these things, man, that's why we're out here. That's why Lashina is coaching y'all on how to get your careers right. That's why I'm coaching you on how to get your love life right, this heart space right, so you can birth amazing businesses. My bestie in the comments is teaching people how to get their emotional healing and their happiness space together. We're out here. We want to help other women. That's what we do, right?
We got a whole support system around here. Because it is so important when we talk about our love space, because how many times does that show up in business deals and in jobs and in the dynamics with people, that people are hurting inside? And like we've talked about before, hurt people hurt people.
Yes.
So if we're not like working on ourselves, so talk to us a little bit about that, about, how can you get over that, that breakup, whatever that breakup is. I talked about a whole laundry list of what that breakup could include. It can include anything from your significant other to your spouse, sometimes family. Yeah, sometimes we got to break up with family because their energy is not working and it's toxic.
Most people won't break up with family. And it's the scariest thing ever, because a lot of times you can see, looking from the outside in, that it's a family member who is pulling somebody down. Because I specifically had to get over a love breakup. I will just say that you really have to mourn the relationship. And you have to want to move on. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. You wanting to move on because you knowing that you want more. There's some people who are just kind of like okay with where they are, right? Mm-hmm. And God can't use you when you're not willing to grow. But you have to also say that you want to grow. It's a lot of people out there when you're like, girl, what would you want to do? And they're like, I don't even know what I would want to do. I mean, I have everything together right now. I mean, I don't even know what I would want to do. Well, you have to know that you want to grow, though, right? So that he can grow you. But I'll share a story about having to, when the love space is not right. I used to train in front of all the women that worked for Benefit Cosmetics all over the world. And I would be in a serious argument, like behind stage, arguing, crying, fussing, yelling with my significant other. And then I would have to dry my face, reapply my lipstick, go back on stage and kill it, right? And so people would be like, oh my God, you were so awesome on the stage. You told us everything we needed to know. And I was completely broken inside, right? And I'm like, man, imagine what I could have delivered to them if I hadn't been broken inside. And so those of us that are entrepreneurs, I feel like it's a gift from God. God gave, I love God. I'm a Christian girl, but don't ask me to quote no scripture, child, because we'll all be in trouble. So I'm just going to say, when he gave everybody the coins and told everybody what to go and do, and they were supposed to come back with their coins and show God what they did. Okay, y'all know. Okay.
We know.
I want to be the one who God is proud of, what I did with the gifts that he gave me, what I did with the coins that he gave me. And so if you raised your hand, that's what I feel entrepreneurship is. When you raise your hand to say, yes, God, I will go out there and do something with the gifts that you've given me, we have an obligation to go out there and give at 100%. So it's up to us to get ourselves right internally so that we can go out there and give our gifts that he has, given us to give. So then he'll turn around and bless us so that we can bless more, and he'll bless us and then we'll bless more. And then we'll
yes. Oh, I want to bring in Kimiko's comment because I think she has a really great comment that I think happens a lot. She says, I'm having a bad breakup from my job. And I think that you have a great example of that. I've experienced that before, where sometimes I think we put so much trust and loyalty and our heart into these jobs that we're thinking that they're going to be there for us as long as we show up. And that's not the way. Because our career has to be our own, and we're renting out our talent when we're going to these jobs.
That's right.
I'll give you this service in return for this money. Right. I'm renting it out, but it's mine to have.
It's yours.
But sometimes we get so caught up into, I've given my best to this job. And I don't know if that's Kimiko's situation. I'm just saying from my own experience that sometimes in talking with, my clients and my mentees, that they feel as if they have been betrayed.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
When these companies give you that pink slip, because they think, they've given their all. And I'm sure that's how you felt when you moved all the way across country. You're still in California, right?
Oh,
you're having an early happy hour.
Exactly. So yeah, people do give their all. And I think that it is important, what you just said, for people to realize that you're lucky if your company sends your family flowers if something happens to you, because at the end of the day, they're a business and they have to move on. Every now and then you will make friends at a company who care, but at the top of the company where decisions are being made, they're like, oh man, we're so sorry to hear about that. But they have to move on. And so in order for you to leave something behind, you have to create something for yourself. And it is hard because we're talking about how you eat. And what happens with a lot of us is, depending on how hard we work, how much money we make, that's the lifestyle we live, right? Okay, so we can afford to have our 2,500 square foot home and our 2 Mercedes in the driveway because of the money that we make on our job. But if our job ends tomorrow, what happens to our lifestyle? And that's really what happens with the devastation of the breakup from the job. Because if you broke up from the job and you were like, okay, well then I'm about to go on a trip, it wouldn't be as devastating, right? So let's talk about how real it is when you lose that financial backing. And that's when you really have to go into a mode, beast mode almost, where it's like, what am I going to do? Am I going to look for another job, or am I going to trust God? Or am I going to trust God, let him give me another job and me do something else? But the one thing that I will say is that I love about you is that you do have a full-time corporate career and you are building a business alongside of that. And I know many people on here today, LaShawn is out there, who has an investor job, right? And who is building a business on the side. And if you guys don't take anything else away from me today, take away knowing that you should have some type of business on the side, even if you have a job, so that you have something that you're growing and building for your family. So if something were to happen to you and it get and you and your family has, that what you have to leave behind, you can't leave behind a job. The only thing that you can leave behind is your book, or you can leave behind, assets that you put away for your family or that you built for your family. But it's important for us to build something of our own. It is important for us to build something of our own. I want to run from those companies. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's not the companies, it's the managers, and
Yeah.
not all managers are leaders, and they're not able to see the big vision and
And
the bigger
things
purpose.
happen. Things happen. Now that we're building our own business and we're on the other side of it, sometimes I have to stop and look at, and I'm just going to keep it all the way real, even on Facebook. It's a lot of us that are small business owners that have ads on Facebook that are selling things that are,
Mhm.
and everybody doesn't have the same customer service skills, right? And
Mhm.
so sometimes I have to stand back and give a company grace and be like, I know she just started, so let me just go ahead. And sometimes I'll go in the comments and the DMs and, sweetie, next time, this is the way you should handle it. But, just try to give grace, because you can see how many people are building their own thing now. And if they've never had corporate experience, some of them don't really know what they're doing out here when it comes to business. But
Mhm.
they're trying,
They're
right?
trying, absolutely. And, a lot of us have started from that place. And that's where you have that support system where you have people that you trust, like you and, LaShawn and Renee, so many of my business supporters, my business besties that, we pour into each other, because you need that not only in business, but you need that in life. People that you
Mhm.
can really connect and trust with. And I have so many of them in our career happy hour group. Sydney Kelliee, we running on the tail end of our hour, girlfriend. So
I
I want to make
know.
sure that we really are able to unpack a few of the things related
Okay.
to your book. What do you do for the women that you are able to serve, that you have been called to serve,
This call.
and and all of the successes that you've had, you
Yeah,
are here now.
I am
Please
here
tell
now.
us a little bit about that piece of it, as well as I know you have a free nugget for our audience members,
I
so we want to
do.
get to that as well.
I do. So yeah, I that was a lot. But what I do is I help women who have been through a bad relationship, or who have had to make a comeback from a breakup, just basically get their love life right, get their heart space right. But the reason why I do that is, and it's funny because we keep going back and forth with what I do, because I'm a transformation coach. I help transform you from one place to the next, right? So from wherever you are to where you're trying to go. And that's because I love business and I want to see women birth businesses. And I see that when I'm working and coaching my clients, what I find is those that have gone through some type of divorce or bad breakup or anything that has affected the heart space, usually is the thing that's keeping them from moving to that next level, right? So that's the part that I help women with. I help them move through whatever that heartbreak is to that next level, so that they can birth businesses and be the most amazing women ever. I do have my book, Boss Up Your Life, 7 Ways to Boss Up After Breakup. And along the little ticker going across, bonus dot bossupyourlifebook.com is where you can actually get that. Also, I have an opportunity for people that want to move to the next level for real, get naked, figure out what it is that they want to do so that we can get them there. And I do discovery calls. So what I would say is, for anybody who wants to stay connected with me, just follow me on Facebook. You can follow me at, I think it's Sydney Kelliee Relationship Coach is my Facebook page. And then I also have my Anchor FM podcast, the Boss Up Your Life podcast. So there are several different ways that you can connect with me, or right here in Career Happy Hour, if that was a mouthful. And I will just go ahead and put down there in Career Happy Hour how you can stay connected with me.
Wow, wow, wow. That is so, so amazing. So,
Yeah.
and I'm so grateful that, being able to be connected with you. So we're forming our own little community, if you
Yeah.
haven't noticed, people.
Yeah.
So that's why, I really want you to RSVP so that you can stay connected to the community. But then also you have a way of doing that with the private Facebook group, to
Mhm.
be able to connect with individuals and to be able to, you know, ask them different questions or see how they're moving in different ways, because sometimes if you don't know the possibilities of what is different, you stay stuck.
You stay stuck.
And that's what we're trying to do with Career Happy Hour, is to help you get unstuck
Stuck. Yeah.
by knowing those different opportunities
That are
that
out
are the possibilities, I should say. Like sometimes people don't even think things are possible. They're like,
there.
no, they've always been this way. How many times have you been on a job and it's like, oh, we can't do it differently. This is how we've always done it.
Right.
No.
And that's why I've never been good at jobs either. They don't ever see the other side of it, right? They never see the other side. I'm like, we could totally do it this way and not waste time. Then we could go home.
Right. Like we got to be able to have all of these different possibilities. So I know that Sydney Kelliee will be dropping those things in the comments within the group so that you can make sure that you can stay connected with her. If you or someone you think that this really resonates with them or it connects with them, make sure you spread the word. Let's just not keep this to ourselves. Like that's another part of being able to grow to the next level, is being able to share with others and to pour into them. And sometimes it's not about you giving them the advice. Let's make that clear, because sometimes it's not about you giving that advice, but connecting them with the people that they can help pour into them. Do you find that to be the case? Like a lot of times we'd like to talk to people and give them advice, and it's like, it doesn't land.
And sometimes people can't hear it from you because you're their person. Like you're their person that's close to them. But then you put them in connection with other people and they hear it from somebody else and they might be like, you know what? Well, she mentioned that before. She tried to tell me that before. It's funny how oftentimes we have girlfriends that we've told things and then, or we've given them suggestions on, and then later on they'll come back and they'll talk to somebody else and they'll come back like it's a brand new thing. And you're like, dude, I told you that 4 months ago. Like, sometimes they just can't hear. It's the same way with our men, right? Sometimes they just can't hear it from us, and then they come back like, my boy said I should do such and such. You're like, dude, I told you that yesterday.
Oh my God. You said a word. Oh my God. You said a whole word.
I know. But one of the things that I also want us to let people know is that you got to invest in yourself. Even when I was at my lowest point, and sometimes I didn't think that I had money to spend on certain things, the one thing that I continued to do was to invest in people that were ahead of me. I think that the word coach and the word mentor is a real turnoff for people, especially our generation, because we're like, I think my generation, I'm going to say 40s and ups, our generation, we look at things a little differently because we were taught to go to school, get the piece of paper, get the degree, and all of that, right? And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing based on what it is that you do for a living. Sometimes you have to, but that's what we were taught. So this whole coach and mentor thing, I hear a lot of people being like, they think they know everything. I can YouTube it or I could Google it or this and that. All a coach or a mentor is somebody who has gone before you. All right. Like I had cancer. I can tell you what to do, right? I experienced a job loss. I can tell you what to do. I went through the worst breakup of my life. And if I had somebody like you tell me some of those things, I may not have bumped my head for an extra 5 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's really all a coach and a mentor is somebody who's gone before you, who wants to now walk you through it, help you through it, so that you don't bump your head and you have somebody to stay focused with. And we cost money. Why? Because I had to spend money to get all of this up here. I had to invest money, even when I thought I didn't have it. I had a spiritual coach that I invested in. I had a financial coach that I invested in. I had a mindset coach, and I couldn't invest all the time. But when I saw that they were having something, some type of, course or something that I could put $500 in, I knew that $500 was going to come back to me. And sometimes $500 comes back to you in a way that you don't even recognize. $500 came back to me when I was then able to see money down the road to write my book. money came back to me in other ways. But that $500 that I had to invest to keep going, because when you're at your lowest, you don't want to keep going. And you need people to help you keep going. And sometimes, most of the time, 9.5 times out of 10, your friends and family are not the ones to coach you through it. You need someone like Lashina. You need someone like me who can only come in from the place that you're at right now and move you, bridge you to the next place. So it's not a family or a friend who's going to do it. It's an outside person like us who's gone before you, already started a business, already knows what to do. And if I don't know what to do, I'm gonna connect you to the person who does, because that's what our network is all about, right? Mm-hmm. So you have to be willing to invest. And when I say invest, I mean time and coins. Period. You're going to have to invest to get to the next level. If you can only invest small until you can invest big, cut a picture of yourself out, put it on Oprah's body, and know that you're going to be there one day, right? You got to do that. But you have to invest. There were coaches that I couldn't afford 4 years ago that I can afford today. And coaching is a level up, right? I could afford the $500 coach course who kept me going, believing that I could do it. Then when I started making more coins, I was like, I'm ready to move to the next level. As God moves me to the next level, I got to move to the next level with the next coach who's now going to take me to the next level. We have to invest in ourselves in order to be great. God has already put the greatness in there, but what the part he didn't say in the Bible was that you're going to have to pay for some of the other greatness. And so I added that part.
Preach, preach, preach. Oh my gosh. You are preaching up in here, Sydney Kelliee. Oh my gosh. So LaShawn, she said, this was so much fun. Love you ladies. And we love you back. Mwah. We love because yes, she my business bestie too. Yeah, I already can't have it all to yourself. What I so appreciate you coming in and dropping so many nuggets. I know you have spoken some life into a lot of people tonight.
I hope so.
I feel it.
I hope so, because that's what we're here to do. I always say I'm gonna talk about one particular thing, but I get downloads, and like whatever God is like, say, talk about. It's just important to me that people know that I love that we're sitting on both sides. You are in the corporate world as well as building a business. I'm full-time having a business and building a brand, which isn't easy because I represent so many different things. And people are like, oh, you're selling lashes, you're drinking juice, you're doing lipstick. Like, I have all of these things, but all of these things encompass the person that I am. And it's those little bitty pieces that I sprinkle on the different women that God gives me to serve. And so he does the same thing for you. I am more than honored to be here. I'm so excited that you allowed me to grace the stages of the Career Happy Hour. And I look forward to, us doing more things together. We all got podcasts, y'all. And if you want us to show you how to have a podcast or how to start a business or how to write a book or any of these things, you need to stay in touch with us.
Yes.
You need to stay and post it down in Career Happy Hours group if you want to learn how to do some of these things. If it's not Lashina, if it's not me, we will connect you to who you need to be connected to. But it is time to boss all the way up in your life. In every area of your life. You can't be making hundreds of thousands of dollars and your love life ain't right. Like, they go together. They go together. So we got to get our heart space right so that God can allow us to go out there and do all the things that he calls us to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. That is a beautiful, beautiful way to send off. Oh my gosh. So grateful for you. Thank you so much. I so appreciate you. Oh my gosh. When I told you that she was going to be blazing the stage, I'm telling you, I was not stretching the truth. She brought all of that, all of those nuggets, all of that knowledge, all of that insight. And I really hope that you were able to take some really amazing things away. And I think you're going to have to probably do you're going to have to play this one again, because Sydney Kelliee be talking like crazy fast, right? So make sure that you don't miss any of those nuggets that she was dropping. So just hit replay, and then you can stop it along the way. Make sure you write your notes, because these things are things that you can take and immediately implement in your life. And some of it you may not even understand how they're going to show up in your life to make you better for the next level of you. But you're going to think back to this day, hearing that nugget and that light bulb going off, and you're like, oh, that's what that meant. And we are going to be so eternally grateful to hear that feedback and the impact that we're making. So another episode of Career Happy Hour is in the books. We are so grateful that you have spent this time with us. I am Lashina Recruitalina, your six-figure career brand coach. I am absolutely obsessed with your success. So please make sure that you are staying recruitable, visible, and profitable while maximizing your up in here. Thank you again for joining us, and looking forward to next week for another episode of Career Happy Hour. Take care.